Please stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Recupero? Here. Councilor Teneri Garcia?
Present.
Councilor Robinson?
Here.
Councilor Taylor?
Here.
Councilor Lopez?
Here.
Councilor Vega Maldonado?
Here.
Councilor Avellaneda?
Here.
Councilor Brown? Councilor Vido?
Present.
Councilor De Jesus?
Present.
And Councilor Judy Garcia.
Present.
10 members present, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We'll now go into our memoriams and celebratory resolutions. Our first resolution introduced by Councilor Vega Maldonado.
Austin Awareness Acceptance and Empowerment Month. Whereas recognized in April as National Austin Awareness Month, began in the United States in the 1970s to draw attention to the challenges faced by the community of individuals with autism awareness. April 2nd is observed internationally as World Autism Awareness Day. And whereas autism is a developmental disorder typically diagnosed during the first 3 years of life, greatly impacting individuals of their ability to communicate and interact with others. Whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's National Health Statistics report conclude the prevalence of autism spectrum disorder has risen to 1 in every 54 children in the United States. And whereas autism is reported to occur in all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups, but it's 4 times more common among boys than among girls. And whereas there is no cure for autism, and whereas participation and observance in National Autism Awareness Month helps to promote awareness through education on the needs of this community. And whereas autistic individuals face difficulties in their workplace due to lack of accessibility and resources for their needs. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Chelsea hereby celebrates National Autism Awareness Month from April 1st to the 30th, 2022, and April 2nd was Autism Awareness Day, and recognizes and commends the family members of children with autism for their sacrifices and dedication in providing the support for the special needs of children with autism.
Councilor Vega Maldonado.
I would like to adopt unanimously under suspension. If there are no objections, then I would like to speak on it.
You have the floor.
As many of you know, this is a resolution that is very near and dear to my heart. My son, Achilles, has autism, and I just want to thank, so many community members and the staff at the ELC and highlight their work. I will be remiss if I don't mention the hard work of what they do on the day-to-day and the progress that I've seen. I would also say, especially to the Latino community, the importance of getting resources, early on, and to not be afraid of the stigma that word carries. Autism is just a word, honestly, and it comes with fear, and I'm not taking away from that. But I would say, I knew early on when my child was 6 months that there was something about him. But it's just a special gift, and he is brilliant, like super, super intelligent. These ladies that know him on the day-to-day can say, like, I can speak hours about my son. So anyways, so I just want to say and to our families out there to not be afraid of that and make sure you get the resources early on, because I've seen progress. And something that I would mention is that getting the resources along with like early intervention does decrease the symptoms of autism by a large percentage. And I bear witness that my son didn't speak until he was 2 years old and 4 months at all, like not even babbling. And now he will not be quiet. And he's like, can talk up a storm about, you know, dinosaur solar systems. You know, his favorite things to watch on YouTube is all educational stuff. So, you know, yeah, anyways. Yes, so another person that I would like to highlight is Kelly Garcia, who's our school committee president. She early on she specializes in special ed, and this is something that early on she was a tremendous support system of mine. So thank you very much, Kelly. Muchísimas gracias.
Any other speakers? Councilor Brown?
Thank you. I just want to congratulate my fellow council here, in not only just her, but what she stands for with her son. She has a really lovely son. I've gotten to know him. Every time I go out, I try to get him something to let him know that people are thinking about him and supporting him. But our council was saying that this is a good time of the year that's set aside that we recognize these champions, these true champions, this campaigning, bringing awareness and also supporting different organizations with support that they can go out and help their families and make them know that there's help and resources available to fight the autism awareness is to fight and try to get as much education and much funding we can to help the struggling folks to go with it, because a lot of folks just don't know. They just think that their kids may be hyper or their kids just may be jumpy. And, you know, we need to catch it at an early stage, but I want to commend my colleague and, for the work that she does, and also the highlight that she continues to bring to this council every April regarding this issue. Thank you.
Councilor De Jesus?
He's an amazing little boy, and I just want to echo what my fellow counselor said. I congratulate Melinda for uplifting as someone who experiences this firsthand, but also congratulate our community and our city for having the voices of folks who experience this at home. And I'd be remiss to not also point out that alongside our Kelly Garcia, president of the school committee, we also have Naomi Zabit, who also specializes with special education. And so I am extremely grateful and proud that our youth have such a diverse group of individuals, both at the school committee and city council.
Anybody else? Councilor Garcia?
So I also know Achilles, and this resolution is very dear to me as well. But I also want to say it in Spanish to those moms in our city. Si ven algo en sus hijos que es fuera de lo normal, por favor busquen la ayuda que la hay. Y buscando la ayuda a tiempo temprano, ayuda a mejorar toda la vida de su familia. Y lo he visto en mi sobrino, y creo que ya no es un estigma, ya debemos de aceptarlo como algo bello, porque pues estos niños son hermosos, son inteligentísimos, y bueno, tenemos que pues buscar la manera de buscarle ayuda y que salgan adelante. Y gracias a esos recursos y esas personas maravillosas en la escuela de ELC, podemos estar seguros de que la educación de ellos va a triunfar. So, yeah.
Any other speakers? Seeing none, that resolution passes unanimously under suspension. We'll now move on to the next resolution. We have a resolution introduced by Councilor Brown regarding the celebrating of Catherine Steck's 100th birthday. Whereas the longevity of life is a blessing for an individual and a community which benefits from the knowledge, creativity, and joy this individual brings to all. And our city recognizes with respect and admiration the contribution of senior citizens to our community. Whereas Catherine Steck was born on April 29th in the year of 1922 in Chelsea, Mass., and spent her entire life here. She describes herself as someone who always tries to be nice and lives by the golden rule, which entails treating people right. Whereas Catherine Steck became the wife of Stanley Steck on June 7th, 1942, this marriage was blessed with 3 daughters, Catherine, Patricia, Susan, and the grandmother of Anthony, Nicholas, Jonathan, and Matthew. Whereas during the long and productive lifetime, Catherine has demonstrated in countless ways her dedication to the welfare of others and earned the respect and affection of people from all walks of life and ages. Catherine is also described as being one willing to help anyone and everyone in a time of need, someone who takes pride in her caring, compassion, and is a good listener and friend. Whereas Catherine has lived through 18 presidents and during the most eventful century of this world's history, and in her quiet way has been a force for good and stabilizing influence around those during her turbulent years. And now, therefore, be it resolved that given on this day, April 29th, that I, Calvin T. Brown, and the members of the City Council do hereby deem it an honor and pleasure to extend this resolution of recognition to Catherine Steck on the occasion of her 100th birthday, with sincere congratulations and best wishes for many more happy, productive years. Introduced by Councilor Vice President Calvin T. Brown and all members of the Council. Councilor Brown, what is the motion?
Adopt the resolution under suspension, Mr. President. I'd like to speak on it briefly.
Seeing no objection, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Just want to congratulate our dear friend who just turned 100 years old. Not just a friend of mine, but a friend of the city of Chelsea. As we know, birthdays are special times that we provide opportunity to celebrate. But when you get a chance to celebrate 100 years old of someone that's been in one city and been amongst so many people and, as the resolution states, been through 18 presidents and really seen the difficult times of our history, you take it as an honor to not only get to meet that person but have communication. But when it's an opportunity as a city councilor to recognize them, I want to recognize them and want to wish them well as they prepare to celebrate their mother, the 3 daughters and the grandchildren that's mentioned in the resolution, and wish them well on this week where she'll be turning 100 years old, the big 10 decades. So congratulations, happy birthday. Thank you.
Any other councilors? If there's no objection, I'd just like to thank Ms. Catherine Steck. For many of you know her from her great work at the senior center. She's very active, particularly with putting together the bingo game and all, and wanted to say thank you for all that. We have the next item on our resolution is a resolution introduced by Councilor Robinson regarding Nurses Week, May 6th to May 12th, 2022. Whereas I salute to nurses, the heart of healthcare, and whereas day and night and through the extraordinary challenges of the pandemic and tireless commitment and hard work of today's nurses have saved countless lives and provided comfort beyond measure to patients and families across our community and country. Please join us in thanking the dedicated nurses who make our hospitals and communities a better place. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Chelsea City Council and the people of Chelsea, wish to thank you for all what you do on behalf of those in need of care and assistance. Once again, thank you for all you do. Introduced by Councilor Leah Robinson.
Adopt this unanimously under suspension. And actually, would like to recognize our own nurse, Paula, and Joan Cromwell, who did an outstanding job providing services to the people in our community, along with all the nurses who stood up for everybody in this community. Thank you.
If Councilor Brown can take the podium. Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Next order, please.
Next order introduced by Council Officer Nader, celebrating Shahana Bahaduri. Whereas Shahana Bahaduri is a resident of the city of Chelsea, and whereas Ms. Bahaduri has been a civically active member of her new community from the moment she bought her home here in Chelsea. Whereas Ms. Bahaduri has volunteered at the St. Luke's Food Pantry during the recent COVID relief efforts in Chelsea. And whereas Ms. Baduri has made financial donations to local nonprofits and the Chelsea community. Whereas Ms. Baduri recently helped raise donations for Partners in Health programs, which provides technical and financial assistance, medical supplies, and administrative support to partner projects in Haiti, Peru, Russia, Rwanda, Lesotho, Malawi, Mexico, Guatemala, Kazakhstan, the Dominican Republic, and Boston. And whereas Ms. Baduri recently traveled to the Poland-Ukrainian border to offer assistance to Ukrainian refugees fleeing their homeland as a result of Russia military attacks, all of which was a self-funded trip. And whereas as part of that trip, Ms. Baduri helped with other volunteers in cold weather deliver medical and humanitarian supplies. Now therefore be it resolved that the Chelsea City Council express gratitude and recognition to Shahana Bahaduri for a display of great civic activism, humanitarian spirit, and her bravery for literally going to the front lines of where there is a human crisis both here and abroad.
What's the wish of the council? Mr. President?
I ask that we adopt this under suspension unanimously, if there's no objection.
Motion to adopt under suspension.
Can
Like
I
to speak?
on it, please?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, and to the utter horror of Ms. Baduri, I wanted to introduce this resolution, and she's here tonight, along with her parents, proud parents, Desiree and Nicholas, along with friends and neighbor who know her, and to witness this little bit of recognition from this council and the city as a whole. We saw what was going on our TVs in the Ukraine, and horrified by it. And I know that we spoke here on the council. We mentioned it at our closing, one of our meetings, and said, you know, our prayers and thoughts. And then, of course, there was methods of how some of us, if they wanted to, could donate to various organizations. But you know, she's a friend of mine, and we're friends on Facebook, and I saw her jump on a plane and go to the front lines of this crisis and go to Poland and start to hand out you know, oranges, bananas, umbrellas, whatever those refugees from Ukraine needed as they were crossing and fleeing their homeland. So of course I thought that was incredible. What an act that we all think of what we want to do, and some of us just have that compulsion to literally jump on a plane. I mean, not many of us would think of doing that, and not only jump on a plane, but think about, it's just, again, I don't want to, you know, embarrass her, but out of our own pocket, you know, just, I'm going to be there. Wherever the world needs me, I'm going to be there. And for those of us who've known her in the short period of time that she's made it to Chelsea and decided to make Chelsea her home, we shouldn't have been surprised, I guess, her friends and neighbors. You know, during the pandemic, she was right there with some of the volunteers at St. Luke's during the food pantry. If you got to know her and, you know, spoke to her about her past, she was there in 2015 in Greece, again, on an island, helping the refugees that were coming over from Syria. Same situation, and she just self-funded again and just went out to go. So I just thought that with all of what was going on, to have someone who was actually from Chelsea, adopted from wherever, you know, Michigan before and so forth, we needed to just say thank you. It's definitely, and even aside from that, everyone who knows her, her spirit is just so fun to be around. She's so positive, and so I wanted to say thank you for what you've done. And I know she hates the attention, and she constantly points to other people and say, no, there's others who've done more, but I'm sorry, I can't think of anyone right now. And so I needed to recognize her based on her efforts, and thank her parents. I know she hates it, but I said, this is more for her parents to say, you raised a great daughter.
Amen.
Okay, that's for you guys.
Will anyone else like to speak on the resolution? Councilor Damali.
I just met Shahana about 29 minutes ago, and I got to read the resolution, and Lisa Sandegate sang her praises. And it's funny because my brother counselor just said, you know, she doesn't like the attention, and I went up to her and I said, I heard wonderful things about you. It's a pleasure to meet you. And she said, no, you. And I'm like, no, you. And I know that sometimes, you know, the real unsung heroes are those of us that are in the shadows, but I just hope you take a minute to receive this, because I am incredibly inspired by hearing about you in just the past 29 minutes, and you've already become my hero. So thank you. In a world where we're seeing so much plight and violence and hate, it's just so beautiful to know that people like you exist, and I just want to thank you for what you do.
Okay. Councilor Lopez and then Councilor Garcia. Judith.
Thank you for your job and for being a great leader, a volunteer, not only in our city, but overseas. I met you last year while we were cleaning behind Luther Place, and we were talking almost all day, and I knew that you were a different kind of person, that you really want to get involved in the community, and thank you for all what you have done.
Thank you. Councilor Garcia.
First, thank you, Councilor Avellaneda, for really highlighting such a beautiful story, and thank you for making Chelsea your home and for setting the example for many. You know, I think what I've learned from being here is that Chelsea is a special place where there's a lot of family, resilient families, but families and individuals who are selfless and giving. And it sounds like you're that leader, you're that person who is willing to set aside yourself to give to others and take your help across our country to help others who are in very much need. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you so much for the example that you're setting for our kids, our next generations. And also, I also agree your parents should be very proud, and I'm sure they tell you all the time how proud they are of you, and I hope you really take this recognition, as my colleague said, receive it, and really own it, because you deserve it.
Okay. Councilor De Jesus.
So I'll be brief, but Shahana, thank you. Thank you for being so amazing in our community. My sister counselors and I had the pleasure of spending some time with Shahana not too long ago at a listening session. Shahana was the first one in the room helping set up and the last one to leave, along with one of our other leaders. But I just want to say, like, I continue to be, like, in awe of everything that you do. And, you know, you were one of the most vocal in the room there, and you know, so many ideas coming from you in regards to our district and how to build our community and how to unite. And so thank you, and I look forward to working with you and your neighbors and and having you in our community. Gracias.
Councilor Robinson.
I had the opportunity of meeting her during the Chelsea Day, and we spent a bunch of hours, her and her mother and I, talking and relating about Chelsea. You might be in the shadow, but you're a bright light to Chelsea. I just want to thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Councilor Garcia.
You. I had no idea that you did so much for the world, and you're a true hero. Truly proud of you, and I just wish there was more people like you around the world. We need you in Chelsea. We need you in the world, and I applaud you for everything, really.
Councilor Taylor.
So I'll echo everything that my colleagues have said. Pardon me, I'm not feeling too well tonight. You know, Councilor Garcia was right. Chelsea is a very special place with a bunch of very special people. And, you know, when people are in need in Chelsea, Chelsea responds. Chelsea people respond. It's our way. And thank you for being a part of that, and thank you for going outside of Chelsea and doing God's work. You know, I've got family members in Ukraine, and so I really appreciate it, and I think we're all doing all we can for those people, and they really need it. So I just wanted to say thank you very much.
Counselor?
Thank you for coming to Chelsea, and I hope you stay here. Don't run away.
If I could speak from the podium, just want to again say thank you to your family, to yourself for the work, the outstanding work. The resolution says it all. It means a lot when you hear a resolution. It speaks about a lot of caring and giving of your time, and you had to learn that somewhere. Your parents are here, your siblings are here, so I know this is a family affair. So just want to congratulate you on you being honored tonight for this resolution, and I hope you continue to do the work that you're doing, not only here in Chelsea, but the many places that you have traveled around this world, and congratulate you on this resolution. I'd like to take a 2-minute break so we can take a picture with the counselor presenting it to the family. Counselor?
Now and have a 2-minute break if I can. That's it. Thank you.
And if you want to say anything, we're going to have a speaking portion. I'm going to call it 2 minutes.
Yeah, so. That's why I read my packet. No, that's why I read it. They'll still be in there, it'll just be. Yes, please. You, yeah, either one, yeah. I'm gonna get some resistors on that. Thank you. We'll now get back to the program here. We have a public hearing, agenda item number 4. There will be a public hearing regarding FY23, FY27, the capital improvement plan. A copy of the loaner can be found at the Chelsea City Council office, or can be emailed. Ask for a copy of it through fmalara@chelseama.gov for electronic copy. Anyone wishing to speak tonight on the capital improvement plan, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thomas Ambrosino, City Manager. I just briefly want to say I'm in full support of this capital improvement plan. This is a very robust plan, over $24 million in spending, more than half of which is being supported by ARPA funding. I'm not going to go into detail on the project. We had a whole lengthy subcommittee on this where we went through the projects one by one. I will just say that the projects in this plan really bring significant benefit to the residents of the city, particularly in the realm of open space and climate resiliency. And so I urge the council to approve it in full. Thank you.
Seeing no other speakers, we'll now move on to I'll close that public hearing. We'll move on to the next portion of our meeting, which is public speaking. Anyone who wants to speak, you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address. Seeing no speakers, we'll move on to the next. We have the approval of the minutes, regular meeting minutes of April 11th, 2022. Do I have a motion to accept?
There are no objections.
Councilor Judith Garcia asked that we adopt the communication of the minutes under suspension. Seeing no objection, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. We're moving on to communications from the city manager. We have a communication received from the city manager regarding the council order on the status of Forbes site and Park Pearl reconstruction. Dear councilors, I'm writing in response to the recent city council order requesting an update on the Forbes site and the Park Pearl reconstruction project. With respect to Forbes, there is not much to report on the development front. The project remains fully permitted for 590 units, but that special permit will expire this year. There is no indication that the developer is planning to move forward with this project. Although the city has heard that the site is being marketed, any sale at this point would likely come too late to allow the existing special permit to be salvaged. We are likely looking at an entirely new project from some new owner. In the meantime, the city will continue to monitor public safety issues on this site. We'll be out to bid shortly on the public safety improvements recently approved with free cash by the council. As for the reconstruction of Park and Pearl Streets, that major roadway and underground utility project is proceeding in both the funding and design. The project now appears on the draft Metropolitan Planning Organization FY23, FY27 Transportation Improvement Program, with an allocation of $12.1 million in fiscal 2027. The MPO will take a final vote on that draft in May, and the city expects that the project will be approved. That federal TIP funding will cover the cost of roadway and drainage work. The remaining underground water and sewer work will be the responsibility of the city. The design of that underground utility effort is underway, and once complete, the city will seek funding. However, please note that this Park Pearl project and its local funding will occur only after the city has completed the major reconstruction of Lower Broadway. That Lower Broadway project is scheduled to begin sometime in 24-25. What is the wish of the council?
Accept and file a communication under suspension if there's no objections.
Seeing no objection, we'll move on to the next communication from the city manager regarding council orders on the construction of a parking garage and community center. Dear councilors, I am writing in response to the recent city council orders requesting I consider the construction of a parking garage and a community center. I am aware that both of these building projects have been desired by the city council for quite some time. However, I honestly believe that at this point, the council will need to make a decision as to which of these buildings has the higher priority. While it is possible the city could absorb debt service from one of these buildings over the course of the next 3 to 5 years within its capital plans, it cannot afford both at once. At this point, I have included in the past few capital plans a placeholder of $5 million for a public parking garage. The parking garage project is currently listed in the CI plans for fiscal year 2026. The amount of $5 million is likely to be on the low side, but it might allow for the down payment of a modest-sized structure on the existing city-owned parcel, such as the Chestnut Street parking lot. However, if the council is serious about preparing for the construction of a community center, it makes more sense to utilize that $5 million set aside for this project. The cost of a legitimate community center is going to be significant, more in line with major public building construction. The city's Housing and Community Development Department has surveyed some other facilities, and it appears the cost of a decent-sized facility, say 40,000 square feet, will likely run at least $500 per square foot, which translates to $20 million. That does not include any land acquisition costs, which will likely add several $1 million to the price. If the council is truly interested in pursuing this option, it may want to create a small subcommittee to start thinking seriously about the project, including potential sites for the acquisition and design options. Just keep in mind, in addition to the one-time acquisition and building costs, such as a community center would require yearly operating expenses within the city's annual budgets. The attached HC&D survey suggests that reasonable programming for such a facility would require a commitment of nearly $1.5 million annually. I will be happy to discuss this matter further in subcommittee if the council desires. Councilor Recupero. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you for achieving. It's hard to choose which one you're going to have, you know, but it's a good thing. At least we're in the right step. And I like, I don't know how to say it. If it was me, what would I choose? If it was any of us, what would we choose? The kids, the adults, the parking garage? I'd have it all. And I hope that's what we get. We'll get it all with time. And I'd like to send this to subcommittee so we can all talk about it, and maybe we can figure out a better or faster way for us to achieve what this city has needed for a very long time. Thank you.
Seeing no objection, that communication will be sent to a subcommittee on conference. Communication received, the next item on the agenda is communication received from City Manager Tom Ambrosino regarding the tax work-off programs. Dear councils, I'm writing in response to the recent City Council order requesting that the city utilize and insert in the water sewer bill to publicize the senior and veterans tax work-off programs. I do agree that city must try to better promote these two tax work-off programs. Pursuant to our ordinances, the city can allow up to 25 individuals to apply for the tax benefit under each of these programs. Unfortunately, we have never come close to reaching capacity in either of these tax work-off programs. This year, the city only had 13 applicants for the senior work-off program and no applicants for the veterans work-off program. In accordance to the council's wishes, the city will include an insert in the water and sewer bill to generate more publicity for these programs. Because of the application period for these programs occurs each year in the month of January, the city will insert the information in the December water sewer bill. Councilor Recupero?
Communication, I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor, sir.
There's very few seniors that apply. I just checked. I asked the city of Boston. They send a letter to all the seniors. They just send a letter automatic when the program starts to all the seniors. So we should be able to do the same thing like they do. They have an application of the seniors, they have it. They all know who the seniors are because they get the senior discount. So he should be able to send them a letter to all of them, so they'll know exactly when to apply. Maybe we'll get a little more than 13. Maybe we'll get the whole amount. I hope that will be the next step. Send them a letter like the city of Boston does. The city of Boston individually sends them a letter to all the seniors. Thank you.
Move on to the next communication. We have a communication from the city manager regarding city council orders on notifying residents of events. Dear councilors, I'm writing in response to a recent city council order requesting that we use various methods of communication to notify residents of important events, including the use of an electronic billboard. The council should know that the city does spend considerable time and effort determining the most effective means of notifying residents of important events. Depending upon the circumstances, the city uses a variety of media methods, including social media, such as Facebook and Twitter, our website, our comprehensive resident email list via the Chelsea Happenings newsletter, reverse 911 calling, inserts in our water and sewer bills, and outreach to English and Spanish news organizations. We do and try to make use of the electronic billboard in Bellingham Square and in appropriate circumstances. Finally, to spread the word even broader, we've often partnered with the Chelsea Public Schools and our local nonprofit organizations on communication efforts. I hope this is helpful. Councilor Recupero.
Accept and file the communication. I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor.
This order was done, I did this for one purpose, that everybody can be in charge of whatever goes on. All of us should know. Here it says, on Bellingham Square, in appropriate circumstances. Anytime anything happens in this city and it affects the people, it's an appropriate thing. Everybody should know if it affects them, especially when it has to do with roads, closing of the streets. They should all know. So it should always be put on the electric billboard and say, this is what's happening today. Your road is being closed to go somewhere else. Everybody does not have the internet. Everybody does not read the newspaper. Everybody. So how do you I know you can't take care of everybody, but you should try. You should even try for the little person that doesn't have all these things. You should do it regardless of what it is. And we should try even harder to make sure that everybody in our city is notified.
Councilor Vido.
I agree with my brother councilor in terms of it would be nice if we could reach everyone. There's so many things happening in the city, but it just seems the more tools that we have, the less connected we are to one another. But I'd be remiss if I don't acknowledge that considering where we are now to where we were when I first got on the council in 2016, we are light years ahead of where we were. Our city council meetings are on Facebook, they're on YouTube, even the subcommittee meetings are being televised. We are using social media. Like before we were here, we weren't even using social media. And I see that the city manager has really tried and reaching out the Spanish-speaking outlets as well. And I just feel like it's kind of coming together. There's always work that we can do. I personally think that we should have a civic engagement department so that we're consistently letting people know about things that are happening in the city, when elections are happening, and, but you know what, I can dream. Nonetheless, I just want to say that while I know that there's work that needs to get done, I don't want us to lose sight of all that we've acknowledged, that we've accomplished in the time that we've been here. And yeah, so I just want to say that. Thank you.
We have the next communication received from the city manager regarding recent police and fire appointments. I'm sorry, the water meter, I skipped one. Dear councilors, we have a communication from the city manager regarding water meter replacement. I am writing in response to city council order requesting an update on the city's water meter replacement program. Since 2019, the start of the city's comprehensive program to upgrade the old Neptune meters with new census meters, the city has replaced approximately 2,400 of the roughly 5,000 meters in use. The DPW can typically complete almost 1,000 meters per year. At that pace, the city should complete this initial replacement program by the end of 2024. Once this program is complete, the city will embark on a regular system of meter replacement of about 500 per year to ensure that all meters are replaced at least once every 10 years. What is the wish of the council? Seeing none.
Can I ask a question? That directed to the chair, to the city manager.
You may.
Okay. Over here, You say you replace these meters every 10 years, right? Okay, so over here you got approximately 2,400 meters out of 5,000, right? You replaced. The total amount is they replaced 1,000 meters per year. So if we only have 5,000 meters in use and you replace 1,000, it takes 5 years, not 10.
Councilor Recupero, I don't need to have the city manager answer this. So if you read correctly what the letter stated, it is that to date, nearly half of the meters have been already replaced. And they're going to do 1,000 more per year.
Per year.
So within 3 years, all the meters will have been replaced. At that point, once in 3 years, all of the meters are estimated to be done. At that point, it is the goal of this city, of the DBW, to do regularly 500 per year, which will mean that
10 years.
every 10 years, the meters will be replaced.
So we're replacing them because the meters get old or because we want to charge more for every drop of water? Well, what is the reason we're replacing them all the time?
I'm not going to have, sorry, with all due respect, I won't have to answer that question. We'll move on to our next communication. We have the communication received from the city manager regarding recent police and fire appointments. Dear councilors, I am writing in response to the city council order requesting an update on the hiring for the police and fire departments. With respect to the fire department, we've alerted civil service to the expected hiring of 12 new firefighters this calendar year. Of that amount, 9 will be entering the fire academy this spring. The remaining 3 candidates will attend the fire academy in October. As of the police department, our goal was to hire and send to the police academy 8 new student officers. However, 2 of the officers did not meet the pre-academy conditions, and 1 of the officers is in the military, and his service will be deferred a year. Accordingly, we will be sending 5 student officers to the academy that begins later this month. Council Robinson, what is the wish of the council?
Suspension if there are no objections.
Seeing none, I'll, at this time, given the topic, I want to announce to my colleagues that we will be having a special meeting on June 13th at 7 p.m., and that is to follow up on a previous request for an official inauguration of all police and fire that had been put on the job in the last 2 years. As many of you know, we've been doing Zoom calls and COVID restrictions about having people in this chambers. So we will officially have the swearing in for those who have joined both the police and fire on that date. It'll be, the subject matter will just be the inauguration and swearing in of those police and fire who are already serving. We have moving on to communications and petitions to the council. We have a communication received from the council clerk, Paul G. Casino, regarding retirement letter. Dear council members, I am writing to formally inform you that I will be retiring from my position of the city council clerk as of December 31st, 2022. I realize that it seems a long way off, but I took into consideration the summer break and the time it would take to fill the position, which would take months. I look forward to continuing working with you all in the meantime and would like to reserve my personal remarks until then. Until that time, I hope that this letter is sufficient so that you can begin the process. What is Councilor Robinson?
I'd like to move to conference. There are no objections.
Seeing none. Dear councilors, please be advised that the following this is a communication received from the city council president regarding special committee to the select city council clerk. Dear councilors, please be advised that the following city councilors have been appointed to serve on a special committee to select a council legal clerk. This committee will work with the Chelsea Human Resource Director on the posting of positions, screen applicants, and recommend a suitable candidate to be appointed by the city council as a whole. Appointed to the subcommittee, special subcommittee, is Council President Roy Avellaneda, City Council Vice President Calvin T. Brown, former Vice President, Councilor District 5, Judith Garcia. What is the wish of the council? Thank you.
I want to make an order also.
Councilor Robinson?
I would ask the chair to withdraw this motion and refer to section 2.6 of the city council. The city council shall appoint a clerk to the city council and may employ such staff and retain such assistance as necessary to conduct the business of the City Council. The City Council shall establish the compensation of such staff. The whole body is entitled to be involved in selecting the city clerk and our administrative assistants. And there's nowhere in here that it relies that the president is able to appoint a committee.
I will overrule the order, and if anyone wants to challenge, it's fine, but in my overrule, I'll say the following. Nowhere in this subcommittee did it state that that subcommittee nor I will appoint the city clerk. The last sentence states that this committee plans on working with HR to fine-tune the description that was provided to us, working with our present city clerk and our HR director, and that we will post this, review applicants, and then recommend to the whole council for the point, because per the reading, my interpretation of the charter is, it says that position has to be appointed by the city council, which it will be. The committee is solely doing the prep work prior to. For many of you, you were involved with the same process with our newest assistant to the council, Fatima Malera. We had a subcommittee. There were 5 individuals at that time. We advertised the job and then made a decision. So I do not expect neither I nor the subcommittee members to be alone in this. Like all subcommittee meetings, whether it be the finance, public works, whatever, councilors are welcome to join us and participate if they want to comment on what is going on. But at the very end, and I think this is going to take, because it's going to take a while to find someone to fill this position, and I appreciate our current city clerk to give us this much time to possibly find someone. I think it's going to take a while to interview people and find the right individual. And then we will nominate, or we'll recommend out of the committee, individuals to this whole council. And this council will then, all of us, 11 will vote on who will be the next city clerk. So I invite you all to attend our first meeting. It is planned on May 3rd at 6 p.m. Invited to attend are the 3 committee members and HR and all members of the city council. So if you want to challenge my ruling, feel free, but at this time, I will put your order out of order.
I'd ask for a motion to overrule the chair.
The Council Robinson has asked that my ruling that his order is out of order be voted on. The council now has the opportunity to either support the city chair, just for clarification, this is why we need you, Paul. Clarification, a yes vote upholds the chair, a no vote sides with Councilor Robinson. So if you believe my position is correct, vote yes. If not, then we will put this back on the, to send this to subcommittee conference. The clerk called the roll.
I'm sorry, can we
Yes.
have more discussion?
Yes, okay,
Just-
sorry.
I don't even really know what I'm voting on.
Well, typically, typically on the challenge of the chairs, there's not a discussion. There hasn't been discussions in the past. So this is one of those things that we don't discuss. It's a challenge of the chair, and simple enough.
So basically what we're voting on is your subcommittee to hire a city council clerk, or?
No. Again, we're voting, again, my explanation to what he is applying to say, he is implying that this subcommittee will be in charge of hiring the next clerk. What I say is that is not the case. If you read my letter, it states, we will be working with the human resource director to find suitable candidates, at which point we will then nominate, or rather put in front of this council, who will then have to vote. The charter states the whole council has to approve the appointment of the next clerk. Just like if the city manager nominates someone
get it.
to the licensing board. That's all I'm saying.
I get it, but two things. Number one, in your letter, it says that you will recommend a suitable candidate, which implies it's one person, and then we as a whole would have to decide whether or not we agree. And then
Possibly.
the second part, and is in reference to what the senior member mentioned when he spoke, was that you feel there should be a subcommittee of the whole that decides the hiring. Okay. I'm clear.
If you have a question, I'll allow clarification. Council Vido's was a clarification question. It wasn't a statement. So unless someone has a question, I'll allow it, but not a statement on position and so forth. Councilor Brown, do you have a question for the chair?
So my question is, on our last two appointments or last two hirings, were this the same way that we handled it, far as subcommittee? Because I believe it was.
Both. I wasn't here for the hiring of Lydia. I was here only for the hiring of Fatima. And again, many members were here and participated in a subcommittee and said they participated in a subcommittee, and we interviewed candidates and participated as a subcommittee member and then made the recommendations. So in this letter, I'm stating the same. I'm setting up the same process of setting up a subcommittee who will then recommend whether it's one candidate or multiple candidates to the council to approve as a whole. At any point in time, members of the council who are not on committee can always join, raise questions, and so forth. There isn't one subcommittee meeting that hasn't not allowed, or rather has not allowed, another fellow counselor to speak. So, but you have to have a working group. Yes.
I know you keep referencing that subcommittee to hire the city council assistant, but do we have any history as to how city council clerks have been hired in the past?
Well, he was hired over 26 years ago.
Also, yeah, Leo would be the only one to know.
But it's always the appointment, the clerk is always appointed by the whole council. But the process in itself is what I'm setting up.
I'm clear. I'm just, yeah.
Councilor Melinda Vega, do you have a question? It has to be a question.
It is sort of.
If it's a question, you are allowed to ask.
Can I make a recommendation? Would that be a question?
No, you cannot make an amendment. While you're thinking, Councilor Todd Taylor.
Who came up with this process to hire the council clerk? Because I think the assistant is a little bit different of a position than the council clerk, one that all councilors have an interest in deciding. Now, you may say that
Is
we all
this a
will
question?
have a vote.
Is that the question? There it is.
No, but
Is
it
that the question?
goes to, I need to make my point in order to ask the question.
So there's the question.
But the question needs the reason behind it, and that is that if there's something different about the council clerk that we all have an interest in deciding, where did this process come from where we will just give a thumbs up, thumbs down and have no basically no say or no vote in the finalists or who that, because by that time, if we said no, we wouldn't have time to find someone else. So it seems like the process.
Again, you're going
might be-
into, I'm sorry, it just, I've been.
So where did the process come from?
The process is taken from the same process that was done by the administrative assistants, the same process that is done by the city manager with all appointees, the same process that is done with him hiring staff. They have created committees. And when someone states that the other councilors who are not on this subcommittee, for the sake of just having a working group, cannot participate, cannot be heard, and be part of the process prior to a final recommendation is not valid, because again, I go back to you and state, any city councilor can attend any city subcommittee meeting, not just the one on conference, and make a point, ask a question, observe.
But not vote.
There is, again, the subcommittee does never vote. No subcommittee votes on any matter.
So that eliminates any kind of chance of any type of consensus. So that's my only point.
You have a question, Councilor Recupero?
I have a very interesting question. When the charter review came up, I wasn't part of that committee, so I went to the charter review committee and I voiced my opinion. You know what they said? Forget you. Never listen to me.
Is that a question, sir?
Yeah, that's the question.
What's the
So
question?
I want all of us to be involved. We should all be involved, because he
Councilor,
does
you're out of
matters.
order. You're out of order.
I'm always out of order. Don't
Yeah.
ma-
Councilor Robinson.
That we're in violation of the city charter.
No, we're not.
That's how I interpret it.
And that's why I ruled it out of order, because I don't believe
And then I
that.
ask for
And we'll have that.
overrule the chair.
Anyone else have a question? Councilor Melinda Vega.
Is it possible to amend the letter where it says a suitable candidate to be like suitable candidate or candidates with, like, so it's more, it would make people feel a little more comfortable? Well, I understand the process.
Yep.
And I agree, I understand that we can attend the subcommittees and be part of the discussion.
Yep.
But I don't know if that
I
would
have no
make a
problem with
difference.
changing it to be suitable candidates and amending the letter. It's not an order, but we can change it later to say suitable candidates versus a suitable candidate. Seeing no further questions, we have a vote on the board. A yes vote supports the the president's ruling that Councilor Robinson's statement that this letter is out of order or violates the charter stands. A yes vote supports the president. A no vote supports Councilor Robinson. The clerk will call a roll.
Councilor Recupero?
No.
Councilor Teneri Garcia?
Yes.
Councilor Robinson?
No.
Councilor Taylor?
No.
Councilor Lopez?
No.
Councilor Vega Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilor Avellaneda?
Yes.
Councilor Brown? Absent. Councilor Vido?
No.
Councilor De Jesus?
Yes.
And Councilor Judith Garcia?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor.
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed. The one absent. Motion defeated.
Motion does not survive, so we move on. We have the next communication. We have unfinished business. There's nothing under that agenda item. We're moving on to second readings. We have a communication received from the city manager, Tom Abruzzino, regarding appointments to the boards and commissions. What is the wish of the council?
Start by roll call.
I'll ask for a roll call vote on the adoption.
Councilor Robinson asked for a roll call on the adoption. At the same time, prior to, I'll just quickly read the names of the appointees. To the Board of Library Trustees, we have Ms. Anna Vanegas Rivera, 4th Street, Chelsea. For reappointment to the Conservation Commission, we have Mr. Dakia Christmas, Cook Avenue. For reappointment to the Community Recreation Advisory Board, we have Knock Nugent on Franklin Ave. To the appointment to the Licensing Board, we have Miss Alexandria Christmas, Cook Avenue. For appointment to the Traffic and Parking Commission, Miss Mara Garrity, Admiral Way, Chelsea, in the place of Renee Hubbard, who has resigned. To reappointment to the Chelsea Community Scholarship Committee for 3-year terms, we have Mary Bork, Sagamore Ave, Lisa Linweaver, Franklin Street, Anna Romero, Orange Street, and Juan Gallego, Franklin Street. The clerk will call a roll. This is for the adoption of the appointments by the city manager.
Councilor Recupero, Councilor Teneri Garcia, Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Taylor, Councilor Lopez,
Yes.
Councilor Vega Maldonado,
Yes.
Councilor Avellaneda,
Yes.
Councilor Brown, Councilor Vido,
Yes.
Councilor De Jesus,
Yes.
and Councilor Judy Garcia.
Yes.
11 in favor, none opposed, motion adopted.
Next order introduced by Councilor Avellaneda regarding the appropriating of the following months from the Community Preservation Fund, $185,600 for the Governor Bellingham Carey House roof and structural water damage repairs, $64,000 to the Governor Bellingham Carey Square House and roof and structural damage repairs, $252,000 for the Mace Basketball Court rehab, $400,000 for Affordable Housing Trust Fund for housing pre-development. What is the wish of the council? Councilor Robinson asked for a roll call vote. Clerk, call roll.
Councilor Recupero, Councilor Teneri Garcia, Councilor Robinson, Councilor Taylor, Councilor Lopez,
Yes.
Councilor Vega Maldonado, Councilor Avellaneda,
Yes.
Councilor Brown, Councilor Vido, absent, Councilor De Jesus,
Yes.
Councilor Judy Garcia.
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, 1 absent.
We have an order introduced by Councilor Avellaneda regarding the fiscal year 2023 capital improvement loan order for a total of $14,356,005. Can you please, Judith, ask the councilors to come in? We want to make sure we have enough votes here.
Yeah, you need 8.
We need 8 votes.
Yeah.
Not that I am worried that we won't get to 8, but I still want to have the presence. The clerk call a roll on the CIP, capital improvement loan order.
Who requested the roll call? Council.
Council Robinson asked for a roll call.
Councilor Recupero,
Yes.
Councilor Teneri Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Taylor, Councilor Lopez,
Yes.
Councilor Vega Maldonado,
Yes.
Councilor Avellaneda,
Yes.
Councilor Brown, Councilor Vido,
Yes.
Councilor De Jesus,
Yes.
and Councilor Judy Garcia.
Yes.
11 in favor, none opposed, motion adopted.
We have an order introduced by Council Avellaneda regarding this fiscal year the appropriation of $96,000 overlay. The clerk will call a roll.
I'll ask for a roll call. I'll
Mayor
vote on it.
Robinson, okay. Councilor Recupero, Councilor Teneri Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Taylor, Councilor Lopez,
Yes.
Councilor Vega Maldonado,
Yes.
Councilor Avellaneda,
Yes.
Councilor Brown, Councilor Vido,
Yes.
Councilor De Jesus,
Yes.
Councilor Judy Garcia.
Yes.
11 in favor, none opposed, motion adopted.
We have a motion by Councilor Brown to adopt as one vote items 22 F52, F53, F54, F55, F56, F57,
Bingo.
and I'll read them off quickly so that we understand which ones we are doing. In the top right corner, it says 11T, 11V, UV, 11W, 11X, 11Y, and no Z. We have ordered that the MGL, the orders of Suffolk University for $7,200. This is for the school department budget, and a total of $21,299. We have an order authorized for $161,172.50 to the Water and Sewer Enterprise funding. We have a $550,000 appropriated from the stabilization funds to be transferred to fiscal year 2022 CIP Chelsea High School roof repair project. We have an order of the $120,000, $599.98 from the 2020 CIP to be transferred over to the 2022 CIP Chelsea High School repair roof. We have an order of the sum of $260,000, $17, and from the 2020 CIP program to the 2022 program, CIP program for the, once again, the Chelsea High School roof repair project. And finally, we have an order of the $500,000 from the unused CIP funds from stabilization funds under the 2022 capital improvement project to go to, once again, the CIP Chelsea High School roof repair project. Councilor Brown, asking for adoption on a roll call vote.
Councilor Recupero? Councilor Recupero?
Yes.
Councilor Teneri Garcia?
Yes.
Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor? Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Vega Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilor Avellaneda?
Yes.
Councilor Brown? Councilor Vido?
Yes.
Councilor De Jesus?
Yes.
And Councilor Judy Garcia.
Yes.
11 in favor, none opposed, motion adopted. That's all you have for second readings, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We're now moving on to new business. We have new business, a resolution introduced by Councilor Avellaneda regarding the CIP FY 23-27. Whereas the city charter requires the annual adoption of a 5-year capital improvement project program, which the capital improvement program is an integral component of the city's financial planning and cornerstone for a quality of life, both of which foster the economic development necessary to expand our tax base and sustain the life of the community. Whereas the capital improvement program is necessarily for the maintenance and improvement of the city's infrastructure, possibly only in conjunction with the long-term financial planning. Whereas the capital improvement program reduces ongoing maintenance costs and the high cost of emergency repair work. In this year, 2022, we, the City Council of the City of Chelsea, have now before us the 26th such capital improvement program and hereby accept the submission of this capital improvement programs as provided in Section 5.4 of the Charter. No other requirements being provided by ordinance. Adoption of the CIP prior to submission of the operating budget assists the city manager in carrying out his duties as the impact of capital budget expenditures for the oncoming fiscal year are reflected in the annual operating budget. This capital improvement program for fiscal years 23 to 27 includes projects for the maintenance and improvement of our city roadways, water, sewer and drainage systems, roadways and sidewalks, transportation, public buildings and facilities, parks and open space, public safety projects, and general equipment. In accordance to the Section 5.4C of the Charter, of a public hearing was held on April 25th, 22. Prior notice has been given. We now therefore be resolved, the City Council has reviewed the Chelsea's Capital Improvement Program for years 22 to 26. Recognize the hard work and continuing effort to put into this document by city officials and hereby adopts this program. What is the wish of the council? Councilor Brown asks for an adoption on a roll call.
Councilor Recupero? Yes. Councilor Teneri Garcia?
Yes.
Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Vega Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilor Avellaneda?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Councilor Vido?
Yes.
Councilor De Jesus?
Yes.
And Councilor Judy Garcia.
Yes.
11 in favor, none opposed, motion adopted.
We have an order introduced by Councilor Lopez, and there's a correction there, it's just Councilor Lopez, regarding that the Traffic and Parking Commission look into placing a speed bump on Garrish Avenue. Councilor Lopez?
Set the file communication, if there's no objection, I would like to speak on it, and also send it to the Traffic and Parking Commission.
Councilor Lopez asked that this be adopted under suspension and that this communication order be sent to the Traffic and Parking Commission. Councilor Lopez, you have the floor.
Yes, so on my district, Grove Street, Library Street, Marlborough Street, and Garrish Avenue, people always complain about cars driving too fast. So we want to see how can we try to impede this so traffic or people are not driving too fast in these areas where there's a lot of children playing around, especially in the corner of Highland and Garish Avenue. So I would like to see if traffic and parking will help us with this speed bumps on this street. Thank you.
That motion carries. We'll move the next order introduced by Councilor Garcia regarding the city manager. Instruct DBW to put a no parking sign in front of 2 Silk Street for parked cars not to block driveway or park on continued roadway.
Amendment to the order to read at 4 Silk Street and not 2 Silk Street. And I would like to accept and file under suspension.
I'm sorry, what was the amendment?
To change to, I want the amendment to, yeah, from 2 to 4 Silk Street, so it's further.
4 Silk Street?
Yes.
An amendment changed the number 2 to 4, from 2 Silk Street to 4 Silk Street. Seeing no objections to the change, that motion carries. We now have finished our agenda for tonight. At this time, I'm asking if my colleagues have any announcements, public announcements. Councilor Vido.
I want to wish a very happy birthday to the love of my life, my daughter, who will turn 16 on Friday. And I would also love to wish my mother a happy 21st birthday. Her birthday will be May 5th. Happy birthday, Mom and Nina. Love you. Thank you.
Councilor Lopez.
I just want to congratulate Green Roots for a job well done on Saturday. There was over 200 people that came and went clean up on our streets. City manager was there and some of the members of the community. And it was a great event. And congratulations with that. And thank you for everybody who came and volunteered.
Councilor Garcia and then Councilor Taylor.
So I want to give an early congratulations to the National Honor Society students whose induction is tomorrow at 6 p.m. So congratulations to you all for the hours of volunteer service that you all do and for the amazing academic achievement that all of you work so hard for. So congratulations. I know that's tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing my colleagues there.
Councilor Taylor and then Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone that this Thursday, April 28th, the Chelsea Rotary Club will be holding its Stand With Ukraine telethon, which you can see live on Facebook. It should be entertaining. So I encourage everybody to not just to watch, but to open your hearts, open your wallets, and help some of the people who are in desperate need. Millions of displaced. This is, we have not seen anything like this since after World War II. This is who we are in Chelsea. So please watch and make a contribution to the Chelsea Rotary Charitable Foundation, which will all go to the Ukrainian refugees. Thank you.
Councilor Robinson.
I just want to give a shout out to Fidel and Roseanne and all the other Chelsea runners who competed in the Boston Marathon this past Monday.
Councilor Brown.
I just want to, quickly say to the neighbors that's out there, this past few weeks have been really tough in our community, where some shootings have occurred and some innocent people have been caught in crossfire. I want you to know that this councilor here is working with our police department, our city manager, on continuing the effort to try as best as we can and as hard as we could. I talked to Councilor Recupero yesterday at his house about these matters. And it's, as my fellow councilors say, we can't stop it all, but we're making an attempt to work our butts off to make sure that we're out there to catch those folks that have these type of acts on our community. It's senseless. It's disrespect to the community. Again, we are working very hard, And just because you don't see us out there doesn't mean that we don't care about what's going on in our streets. We do care about what's going on. And if you see something, if you can help the police, let them know anonymously, and we can get these people off the streets. Thank you.
I have a couple, any announcements? Yes.
So I just want to clarify to my colleagues, induction is on Wednesday from 5 to 7, not tomorrow. Wednesday, 5 to 7. Thank you.
A quick reminder of some of the dates that were stated there. Again, May 3rd will be the city clerk subcommittee meeting. Councilors are welcome to join. We have on May 20th, which is Friday, at 12 p.m., myself and the other members from the city government will be at Chelsea Square to do the annual planting of the flags for the Field of Honor in Chelsea Square. So if anyone wants to join myself, Fire Department, DBW, Police Department, and a number of different city residents and joining, you're more than welcomed. June 13th at 7 p.m., we have the inauguration, a special meeting, again, for our police and fire. So with that, if there's anyone who has anything to state about in memoriam for anyone, remembering. I'm sorry, one announcement, and then we'll go real quick.
Just want to briefly first give a shout out to Green Roots for an amazing Earth Day. It's amazing to see, all the folks that came out. I unfortunately couldn't make it, but a lot of the youth from La Colaborativa were excited as well to join, and it's awesome to see organizations collaborating and working together. Secondly, I'd like to announce that Sunday is May 1st, Mayo Primero. La Colaborativa will be doing its annual march, starting here at Chelsea City Hall, down to the Meridian Street Bridge, and over to the plaza in East Boston, the Central Plaza, the Central Square Plaza. So if you are interested in joining this Sunday, May 1st march, starting in Chelsea City Hall at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Council Vido?
Celtics good luck tonight on Game 4, because I know we're all thinking it. That's it.
Council Lopez, you have a...
Yeah, I would like to have a moment of silence of my granddaughter who passed away 4 years on April 19.
With that, I'd also like to...
Evie Lopez.
Today is actually my cousin's birthday, Ruben Passell. He tragically was taken away from us, killed by a drive-by on right after graduating from Chelsea High School. He was a team captain for the soccer team, and it's actually for him that they've named Highland Park. So today is his birthday, and I always carry his spirit with me, so thank you.